Hi, administrators. Let's talk about co-teaching. There are so many things we can talk about co-teaching, but I'd like to start with the top question my team and I get about co-teaching from your colleagues, your administrative colleagues, and that is, why am I paying 2 teachers in a classroom when one of them looks like a paraprofessional? The co-teaching model that represents is 1 teach, 1 assist, and there are a variety of reasons why that might be the default model for some teachers and for some co-teachers. So let's unpack that a little bit. What are those reasons? First and foremost, maybe they have no idea what else to do. They haven't received information, they haven't received training, they haven't received support to build their co-teaching skills. So that's reason 1. Reason 2, they don't have a time to talk to each other. In order to really co-teach, co-teachers need to plan and have the opportunity to problem solve and brainstorm and figure things out. And so if they have no planning time or opportunity to talk, it's very difficult to really fully co-teach. Yes, some base planning can certainly be done on a Google Doc or another kind of technological shared platform. But to really get into the nuances of co-teaching, conversation needs to take place. Then there are some personality reasons that might happen. The pair might not be a good fit. So that might be why 1 teach, 1 assist is primarily happening. Another reason is the gen ed teacher might really feel like they need to control the curriculum and the instruction. And letting that go feels way too hard or way too scary. And the next reason is that the special educator or the TESOL teacher may not have the experience of teaching in a large class of kids, so may feel uncomfortable. They may not have expertise in the grade level or the subject, so they might feel uncomfortable. So those are the key reasons we see why people rely on 1 teach, 1 assist. So let's talk about some strategies that you can do to assist with a couple of these reasons. The first one is get your teachers some training, some support around the skill set that's involved here. So we would never ask teachers to teach kids a complex topic or concept in 1 lesson and then just expect the kids to do it. We teach it, we reteach it, we provide lots of guided practice before people are off on their own doing independent work. Co-teaching is a skill, and so teachers need to receive some workshops or training or information and some modeling, and then they need opportunities to be coached in their practice. So doing a 1-time 2-hour workshop or a 1-time whole day workshop and expecting teachers to be able to implement all of the skills that are involved in co-teaching is unlikely not going to work for you. So the PD around co-teaching needs to be comprehensive if you're going to see the results that you're looking for. Now again, you could do a 1-day co-teaching workshop and have a star team that just goes off and running and does so many of the pieces and parts and takes it on very quickly. And you might also have people who do none of it, and then everybody in between. But overall, people need repeated training and coaching and practice to really own these skills. The next thing that you can do is look at scheduling planning time, whether that's a chunk in the summer or whether that's chunks during the year. But where we'd love you to start is with your master schedule. And we know this isn't always possible to build in planning time into the master schedule, but there are a couple of tips or a couple of things we've learned from administrators we've been working with for a long time, which is that if you plug co-teaching into your master schedule first and a period for teachers to co-plan, it is far easier. What we often see administrators do before we get a chance to talk to them is the master schedule is built, and then they plug co-teaching in. And that impacts both who you end up having as partners, which we could talk about in another video, and whether or not they have planning time. Because when you're adding them in, it's often unlikely that planning time can work out. So our first tip is to plug in your co-teaching pairs first. Even if you do that, or if that's impossible to do because of the size of your building or whatever other issues you're dealing with, how else can you provide planning time? So like I said before, sometimes it's a big chunk in the summer. Sometimes what we see districts do is provide quarterly or unit-based planning blocks for teachers where they're covered for a couple of periods. Now we know that subcoverage is a huge issue in our neck of the woods. We're not sure if that's true all over the nation, but it certainly is where we are. And so again, rotating who gets to have that planning time so that you minimize the number of people you need to cover at a time is very helpful. I worked with one principal who used to monthly on a Friday come into school in her sneakers and work with teachers' kids for a chunk of time in the gym so that they could have extra planning time. It was her monthly contribution to covering her classrooms where there were 2 teachers. I've seen secondary people, the secondary admins, schedule one partner for hall duty and the other partner has the period off so that they both can sit in the hall and plan together. Is it perfect? Is it ideal? No. But obviously they can't both be in cafeteria duty. That's not going to work. That's too loud. But some way that if somebody has a prep that's manageable to talk during, that the other person is also free that period. So summer planning, chunks of planning periodically through the year, duty planning are all things that we've seen administrators do. Now, you're creative, you're an administrator, think outside the box, bring in some teachers or other admins to kind of banter around, because if you can provide your co-teaching teams with planning time and some training, you should see some changes in that one teacher is teaching and one teacher is walking around the room helping.